Thanks for staying with us. Taxi Association Santaco says the battle with government is not just about the taxi industry, but about protecting jobs. Labour union Cosatu threatened to go on strike if government doesn't revoke its decision to allow taxis to operate at 100% capacity. The association says the threats are unfortunate. For more, we're joined by Santaco Spokesperson Thabisho Molelekwa. He's in Pretoria and he's live with us via Skype. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We've said there that your association says Cosatu's threat to go on strike is unfortunate. Another article said Santaco says it's malicious. Just on the record, your reaction to reports that we're hearing about how Cosatu is making its voice heard to government on this issue.
Well, good evening, Marcel, and good morning, sorry,
Indeed.
And good to your viewers. It is indeed not only unfortunate, but also disingenuous, because Cosatu's remarks is a clear indication that Cosatu has been ignorant of what has been happening over a period of 2 months between the taxi and the taxi industry and government. Contrary to what they believe that a government gave in to the association's demand or gave in to the taxi industry demand. The taxi industry has equally been fighting for the very same workers which Cosatu claims to represent. And we are therefore baffled by their intention to embark on a strike on the basis of the protection of the workers, whom some of them are members of the very same organization, who have been who've been 2 months without job, without any form of salary in the taxi as a result of this. So I must indicate also that these widespread perceptions that government has gave into the taxi industry demand are unfounded and are untrue, primarily because the issue around 100% loading capacity has been on the table between us and government for at least a month and a half, where in principle the very same government was saying they are warming up to the idea, but would only have to explore and look into various elements of the safety aspect of the 100%.
Thabisho, if I could come in there, though, because you're saying that reports that government is given into pressure from taxi associations is unfair and unfounded. But if we watch how that story unfolded, it was indeed after the Taxi Council or the taxi associations went to great lengths as far as strikes and bringing big cities to a standstill so that they would get their way with government. And it was only after that that we saw government budging from their initial stance on how taxis should be operating under lockdown. Is it fair then to say that government did not give in to that kind of pressure?
Look, ironically, there's a very thin line between what you are saying and the actual truth. And the reason I'm saying that is precisely because at the time we decided to do what we did the last time, it was after numerous, if you remember, numerous postponements of meetings between us and the Minister of Transport, whom at the time was already busy and very at an advanced stage between himself and the Command Council in as far as the 100% loading capacity is concerned. So what we did may have only expedited the conclusion of that discussion, but at the time we went back on a strike, at the time we made the demand publicly and face to face with the minister. Already the minister was 70% through in mobilizing for Command Council endorsement on the matter.
Now, where do you stand in terms of where Cosatu is coming from? Now, you're speaking on behalf of your members of Santaco, from the field of the taxi owners. Cosatu is saying they're merely doing the same, but they're speaking up on behalf of the workers, the majority of which make up a large part of your market. Do you understand then, or would you concede that they have a right to speak up on behalf of who they believe is are their members as well?
Well, I would not speak of their members in totality. I would speak of their members starting right here at home. Cosatu has for years claimed through its affiliate that they've got members within the taxi industry. Now, our argument is a very simple one. When they realized that, and this is if they did, when they realized that the members were on the threat, at the threat of losing their jobs, and I'm talking taxi drivers and so on, not at any given point did Cosatu intervene. Not at any given point did Cosatu make a statement to say it's important for government to preserve jobs in the taxi industry. When we said the relief fund would not be able to pay drivers and so on, among other things, not at even at any given point did Cosatu make a statement of support in protection of the very same members that it claims to represent. And our argument is, even at the height of this matter, when we had those voices that supported the industry in terms of the 20,000 per month that we had requested from government, also to us, ma'am, for them to now speak simply because government has given us 100% is quite disingenuous, it's quite unfair, it's quite unfortunate.
But Thabisho, if I could come in there, from what I understand and from what I've read about Cosatu, they're also speaking on behalf of members who use taxis to get to and from work, not just members who happen to be part of the industry as a business, but members who use the taxis to get to and from work. Are they looking at their safety from a medical point of view?
No, what I'm saying to you, Marcel, is they are not speaking for the members in the taxi, for their members in the taxi. That one is a definite no. And I'm saying to you, if that indeed was true, we would have heard Cosatu's voice in the same way we hear it now, long before they spoke today. And that is not what we had before. So I'm saying those members that Cosatu claims to represent are definitely not part of those in the taxi industry. And it is time for now for those in the taxi industry who are members of Cosatu to see where Cosatu stands and who it represents. But let's come back to the issue of the medical issue. Look, there have been, and this is the reason why the issue of announcing the 100% officially by government took longer than we had anticipated, was precisely because when the Command Council, in principle, agreed to the 100%, one of their biggest problems was that they had to consult widely and broadly on the issue of what are the implications around safety, other issues around medical environment of the whole 100%. And so the matter really was not a decision that was taken overnight simply because the taxi industry was making noise.
Well, the Medical Advisory Council said it actually should be 40%, and those are experts in terms of health. But government still went ahead and said, look, we hear what the Medical Advisory Council is saying, but we're still going to go ahead and give the taxi industry the go-ahead for 100%.
Look, I think it's unfair to make such a statement because the report, the options that were put before us, did indicate that that was their first preference. And the second preference or any other preference was based on conditions. And those conditions are the current conditions that government has integrated into the regulations, which in as far as the advisory council would be able to at least mitigate the virus. So, and we are compliant with that. And this is why, further than the announcement made by government, what we have done, we have already set up structures in place. We have already communicated with our structures to ensure that, the regulations as stated by government, are fully complied with. In fact, the regulations have now made Santaco realize that this victory of 100% is now a burdensome victory to the industry because the regulations now put that burden on us to ensure that the lives of our commuters are protected, and which we will do without fail.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Santaco spokesperson Thabisho Molelekwa coming to us live there from Pretoria. Indeed, a story that I'm sure we have not heard the end of anytime soon.